was kind of surreal. I remember one of the crew guys was helping me out of the car, and he said, man, seeing you three guys back in the car just gave me the chills.
Can you imagine a movie that almost starred Sylvester Stallone instead of Eddie Murphy? That was nearly the fate of Beverly Hills Cop, the 1984 action comedy that turned a Detroit detective's wild case in California into one of the biggest box office hits in history. When the film opened, no one expected it to succeed the way it did. Made on a modest budget of $13 million, it raked in $234 million. It became that year's highest-grossing movie, beating Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, and The Temple of Doom. The film also marked a new beginning in Eddie Murphy's career. Until then, he had already made audiences laugh in 48 Hours and Trading Places, but Beverly Hills Cop proved he could carry a movie entirely alone. His role as Detective Axel Foley, a fast-talking, street-smart cop from Detroit, blended comedy and action in a way that had rarely been seen before. The movie became a cultural landmark with its catchy theme song, Axel F., sharp humor, and unforgettable chase scenes. It earned nominations for Best Picture at the Golden Globes and Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars. What makes the story even more fascinating is how close it came to being entirely different. For nearly 19 years, Beverly Hills Cop held the record as the highest-grossing R-rated movie ever made. Even 40 years later, how Axel Foley went from Detroit's rough streets to Beverly Hills glitz feels fresh, bold, and energetic. However, there are weird facts that some fans were not aware of. Here are 20 weird facts you didn't know about Beverly Hills Cop. A slip of the tongue. Movie scripts are often carefully planned, but do you know which words are usually cut and which mistakes make it through to final production? In the heated police station scene of Beverly Hills Cop, Chief Hubbard, played by Stephen Elliott, lashes out at his team over the failed Maitland case. His voice cuts through the noise as he accuses them of gross dereliction of duty during the strip club operation. In his anger, he shouts, "Who lured Taggart and Rosemont into?" before Detective Billy Rosewood, played by Judge Reinhold, nervously corrects him, saying, "It's Rosewood, sir." The minor correction deepens the silence in the room, making the tension feel real. What audiences never knew at first was that the name Mix-Up was not planned. Elliott accidentally said Rosemont during rehearsal, and instead of reshooting, a crew member laughed so hard that the director, Martin Brest, decided to keep the moment. He quickly rewrote the scene to fit the mistake. This small error gave the scene a natural edge and reminded viewers that real human moments can shape the comedy even in a carefully made film. The tailpipe trick's last-minute switch. One of the most remembered scenes in Beverly Hills Cop shows Axel Foley stopping a police car from following him by putting a banana in the tailpipe. This well-known gag was not in the original script. At first, the plan was for Axel to use a potato instead. The script included a scene in which Axel sneaks into a hotel kitchen to steal a potato, then uses it to block the tailpipe of an unmarked police car. When the kitchen scene was removed from the movie, the crew noticed that it made no sense for Axel to have a potato suddenly dot. To fix this, they filmed the scene again in the hotel lobby. A fruit cart was added to the set, which made it easier for Axel to grab a banana from the buffet table and fit better with the setting. The banana idea turned out to be funnier and more natural on screen. This small change showed how flexible the film's production was, with adjustments made quickly during filming to improve scenes. The banana gag became one of the most beloved moments in the movie and was later referenced in the sequels, showing how a simple idea can endure for years.
And tell them that you want that. That's right.
The original idea for the movie came from a speeding ticket. In 1975, Michael Eisner was an essential executive at Paramount Pictures, but still drove an old station wagon he had brought from New York. In Los Angeles, where image mattered, the worn car drew attention for the wrong reasons. One day, while speeding on the freeway, a police officer pulled him over. The officer's attitude was cold and dismissive, treating Eisner like he was beneath him. Eisner felt embarrassed and frustrated, realizing how much status and appearance meant in that city. The next morning, he traded the station wagon for a Mercedes-Benz. When he arrived at work, still thinking about the experience, he told his team they should make a movie about a Hollywood cop. That idea stayed with him, and years later, writer Daniel Petrie Jr. shaped it into a story about a Detroit officer in Beverly Hills, blending comedy and action. Producer Don Simpson, however, said the idea was his. He claimed he first imagined it in the late 1970s as a story about a Chicano policeman from East Los Angeles who was sent to Beverly Hills. Working with Jerry Bruckheimer, he asked writer Danilo Bach to begin the script, which started as a drama before turning into a comedy. The argument over who created the idea showed how competition and collaboration mix in Hollywood. Whatever its origin, Beverly Hills Cop with Eddie Murphy became a massive success. Eisner soon became Paramount's president, while Simpson went on to make other famous films like Top Gun. Their story began with a small slight on a freeway, but ended with a movie that defined a generation. The Beverly Hills Police Department set was based on war games. During the filming of Beverly Hills Cop, the Beverly Hills Police Department did not allow the crew to use its real headquarters for filming. The production team could not gain access, so they decided to build their own version instead. No apparent reason for the refusal was ever documented, but later comparisons with the 2024 sequel, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F., offer some clues. In that recent film, the city and the police department agreed to cooperate only after reviewing and approving parts of the script that mentioned Beverly Hills. This showed how carefully they wanted to protect their public image. The earlier denial came from similar concerns about how the department would be shown, since the movie presented its officers as neat and controlled, unlike the more rugged Detroit detective Axel Foley. When permission was refused, Martin Brest and his crew built a fantasy version of the police headquarters. They designed it to look the opposite of the Detroit Police Department: smooth, bright, and almost like a private security office for wealthy people. Brest later said that it looked nothing like the real Beverly Hills Police Department, but served to show the difference in class and setting that ran through the story. The set's design came from Brest's earlier work on the film War Games in 1983. He had developed detailed plans for the NORAD command center in that movie before being dismissed from the project. Not wanting his work to go unused, he reshaped those plans for Beverly Hills Cop, turning the large and technical design into something smaller but still impressive. Around the same time, actor Sylvester Stallone followed a similar path. After leaving Beverly Hills Cop, he used parts of his rejected version of the script to make the 1986 movie Cobra. The Beverly Hills Police Department set became a crucial visual feature in Beverly Hills Cop, highlighting the clash between two worlds within the same story. Coin tosses and career gambles. Deciding whether to take on a project can depend on instinct, risk, or advice from others, but fate sometimes seems to make the decision instead. Director Martin Brest faced such a moment with Beverly Hills Cop. After being dismissed from War Games in 1983, he believed his career was finished and withdrew from the industry for a while. Producers Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer continued to contact him about directing Beverly Hills Cop, which at that stage was planned to star Sylvester Stallone as Axel Foley. Brest refused several times, going so far as to unplug his phone so he would not have to answer their calls. Uncertain and lacking enthusiasm for the project, he let a coin decide his future. He chose that if the coin landed on heads, he would direct the film, and if it landed on tails, he would walk away. The coin landed on heads, and though the result frightened him, he kept his word and agreed to make the film. Not long after, Sylvester Stallone left because of creative disagreements, and Eddie Murphy replaced him only a few weeks before filming began. Martin Brest later framed the coin that had made the decision for him and hung it on his wall as a memory of his difficult years. This story shows how Martin Brest's uncertainty led him to a simple but unusual choice that changed his life. The coin toss allowed him to move past hesitation, and what began as a reluctant decision turned into a lasting success. In the unpredictable world of filmmaking, that single coin flip became a turning point that carried him forward when he least expected it. The chaos in casting behind Beverly Hills Cop. Director Martin Brest, seeing the natural ability of Eddie Murphy, Judge Reinhold, and John Ashton to think quickly and create humor on the spot, allowed them to improvise freely while making the 1984 film Beverly Hills Cop. He treated the written script as a loose guide rather than something to be followed precisely. When a scene or line didn't work, Brest often asked Murphy to write new dialogue or even invent a new moment entirely. He later called Murphy a director's dream because his ideas lifted the material far beyond what had been written. Much of the comedy in the film came from improvisation. Reinhold and Ashton joined in, creating a playful rhythm similar to old comedy duos such as Laurel and Hardy. This method created constant laughter on set. Hundreds of takes had to be stopped because actors, crew members, or even Brest could not hide their laughter. Brest sometimes had to step away from the set and watch the filming from a monitor or hide in a sound-padded room so his laughter would not ruin the takes. Several moments born from this chaos stayed in the finished film. The well-known Super Cop's monologue was made up entirely by Murphy after he drank coffee for a burst of energy, even though he usually avoided it. In that scene, John Ashton appears frustrated and looks down, but tries not to laugh. Judge Reinhold also had to control himself by placing his hand in his pocket and pinching his thigh, a trick he later admitted he used during filming. This open, playful working gave the movie genuine humor and natural energy. The laughter that filled the set translated into the final film, helping Beverly Hills Cop earn more than $316 million worldwide and leaving a lasting mark on comedy filmmaking. Filming beyond Beverly Hills. During the making of Beverly Hills Cop, many scenes meant to depict the grand streets of Beverly Hills were actually filmed in nearby Pasadena. The change became necessary because Beverly Hills enacted a rule banning all filming after 10:30 at night. This restriction prevented the crew from shooting the many nighttime scenes required by the story. Pasadena's large homes and elegant buildings became stand-ins for the real locations in Beverly Hills. One example was the exclusive Harrow Club in the film, which was actually the Athenaeum at 551 South Hill Avenue in Pasadena. The city's look matched what the filmmakers needed while allowing them to work late without breaking local laws. The filming restriction came from city rules meant to reduce late-night disturbances in Beverly Hills, a quiet residential area. On the 29th of June, 1984, the Beverly Hills Courier reported that shooting on city streets after 10:30 at night was not allowed. These laws were long established to limit noise, control traffic, and protect residents' privacy. During the 1980s, Beverly Hills also required permits for all film productions, whether on public or private property, with strict conditions to maintain peace and order. Similar measures still exist today, especially in residential neighborhoods and around Rodeo Drive, where the city protects its residents' daily lives. Even with these challenges, the film crew adjusted well. Pasadena provided the right visual atmosphere, helping the movie convey its central theme: an outsider from Detroit navigating the polished world of Beverly Hills. Other filming took place in Detroit for scenes showing the city's rougher side, while places like the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles stood in for the Beverly Palms Hotel. Last-minute lines. During the rushed making of Beverly Hills Cop, everything changed when Sylvester Stallone left only a few weeks before filming. He had rewritten the story into a serious action film filled with gunfire and chase scenes. One of his ideas, a stolen Lamborghini chase, pushed the budget too high, and after disagreements, he walked away. His exit confused the whole project, as the studio had already locked in the filming date. Writer Daniel Petrie Jr. was called back to fix the script for Eddie Murphy, but director Martin Brest was unhappy with the new version. With little time left, he told Murphy and the cast to make up lines and moments as they went. The final shooting script was a mix of old drafts and on-set changes. Many actors got their lines just before filming, leaving them little time to adjust. One clear example came from Stephen Elliott, who played Police Chief Hubbard. When he entered, holding rolled-up papers, those were actually his script pages, handed to him minutes earlier. He had been trying to memorize them right up to the scene. Brest thought it looked natural and left it in. Even when Elliott called Rosewood Rosemont by mistake, it stayed in the final cut. More action, less comedy. Editor Billy Weber recalled that when they finished the first cut of Beverly Hills Cop, director Tony Scott's approach made it feel like a straight action film instead of a comedy. Weber explained that Tony was not a comedy director and had focused on what he knew best: fast-paced action scenes. After the first screening, producers Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer looked around the room. unsure how to react because the film lacked the humor and lightness of the first film. Weber said the problem began with the script. It was never strong enough, and because of that, the sequel did not have the same chance to reach the level of the first movie. After that first showing, the team realized the movie needed more comedy, so the script was rewritten, and several new scenes with jokes were filmed and added later. These changes helped improve the tone slightly, but did not completely fix the imbalance. Weber also mentioned that Eddie Murphy's attitude had begun to change during the film's making. He started showing early signs of star behavior, often arriving late to the set and acting like a leading star who knew his worth. Even with those issues, Weber said Eddie got along well with Tony Scott and maintained a good working relationship throughout filming. Daring moves. When Beverly Hills Cop was filmed, Eddie Murphy was only 21 years old, but already willing to take on dangerous scenes. In the film's opening chase, his character, Axel Foley, clings to the back of a runaway cigarette truck as it tears through the streets of Detroit. The sequence, shot in downtown Los Angeles, made to look like Detroit, showed Murphy hanging onto heavy security chains while cars crashed and flew apart around him. About 22 vehicles were wrecked before the chase ended. The man driving the truck, stunt expert Eddie Dono, handled it so well that his work earned an Oscar nomination for Best Vehicular Stunt. Murphy's courage in doing parts of the action himself added excitement to the movie. Years later, while filming Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. in 2024 at 63 years old, he laughed that those days were behind him and that he preferred to stay safe now. In the original movie, his main double was stuntman Alan O'Leary, who handled the rougher, riskier moments. In one bar fight scene set in the Harrow Club, a much larger man briefly replaced Murphy for a throw across a table. The difference was noticeable since the double was over 6 feet tall and weighed around 300 pounds. Murphy did the safer parts in the final mansion battle, while doubles handled the heavy gunfire and falls. Murphy's boldness as a young man helped shape the movie's edge, even though he later chose caution over risk. Stripper's choice. In Beverly Hills Cop, a scene set in a strip club shows Detroit detective Axel Foley teaming up with Beverly Hills officers Billy Rosewood and John Taggart. The three stop a robbery while music blares and dancers perform on stage. The song playing during the scene is Nasty Girl by Vanity 6, written by Prince and sung by his protege group led by Denise Vanity Matthews. Even though the song was not part of the movie's official soundtrack, it became one of the film's most memorable moments because of its use. The dancer in the scene was a real stripper known by her stage name, Mouse. She was hired to make the setting look and feel real. Mouse suggested using Nasty Girl because it was the same song she always danced to during her shows. Martin Brest explained in a commentary that this decision made the scene feel genuine. The set was filmed inside a closed club in August, and the heat tired everyone on the crew. Still, the song's energy helped keep the mood lively. The song Nasty Girl came from Vanity 6's 1982 self-titled album. Its bold rhythmic sound fit the club scene perfectly and helped highlight the contrast between Axel Foley's street innovative nature and the polished world of Beverly Hills. Though the track did not appear on the platinum-selling soundtrack that included Axel F. by Harold Faltermeyer, it gave the movie one of its most natural and vivid moments. Mouse's simple suggestion, drawn from her real-life routine, added an authentic touch that could not have been scripted. Stallone's exit. It's well known that Sylvester Stallone was meant to take the lead role in the film, but why did he step away from the project? A long-running story in Hollywood claims that Sylvester Stallone left Beverly Hills Cop because of a disagreement about the type of orange juice stocked in his trailer. Isn't that weird? This odd tale has been passed around for years, with some saying it was about catering choices on set. But the real reason for his exit was not just about food. It came down to creative and financial disagreements. Stallone had rewritten the script to include more action scenes and more tense moments. These changes made the movie much more expensive than what Paramount Pictures was willing to approve. The producers refused his costly additions, such as large chase scenes, and Stallone decided to leave the project just weeks before filming began. He later used many of the same ideas for another movie, Cobra. The film's main character, Axel Cobretti, was initially written as his version of Axel Foley. The tougher tone and violent style carried over almost entirely into that film. When Beverly Hills Cop 2 was released, there was a quiet nod to Stallone's brief time on the first film. In one scene, Judge Reinhold's character, Billy Rosewood, has posters of Cobra and Rambo on his bedroom wall. This small detail served as a reminder of what could have been if Stallone had played Axel Foley. It became one of those behind-the-scenes stories that show how unpredictable movie casting and script changes can be. The rise of Serge. In Beverly Hills Cop, Bronson Pinchot played Serge, the lively art gallery assistant who became one of the film's most remembered characters. The role was not meant to be so important. The first script was divided between two workers at the gallery, one of them written as a typical effeminate gay American named Jacques, a small part mainly created so that Eddie Murphy's character, Axel Foley, could make jokes at his expense. This kind of writing was common in early 1980s comedies. Pinchot recently appeared in Risky Business and came to his audition with his idea. Instead of reading the lines plainly, he began improvising with the accent and gestures of an Israeli makeup artist friend, Lily Benier. He said he copied her voice, posture, and movements. During rehearsals, director Martin Brest heard the unusual accent from off-camera and immediately told him to continue exactly as he was. Brest quickly rewrote the scene. He removed the other co-workers' lines, leaving only a short appearance where Serge remarks on a collar, and gave all of the dialogue to Pinchot. He then added more exchanges between Serge and Axel Foley, allowing their interaction to grow naturally through 36 improvised takes. The new version of Serge was no longer just a target for jokes, but a spirited and charming presence who shared an easy connection with Axel. From Ellie to Foley. The main character in Beverly Hills Cop underwent several name changes that reflected the film's shift from a serious crime story to a comedy. In Danilo Bach's first draft in 1981, Beverly Drive, the lead was Ellie Axel, a detective from Pittsburgh investigating a friend's murder in a wealthy area. Producer Don Simpson later brought in Daniel Petrie Jr. to add humor and move the story to Detroit, changing the name to Axel Ellie and giving the plot a livelier tone that caught the studio's interest. Sylvester Stallone later joined the project after Mickey Rourke's exit. He rewrote it into a violent revenge story, naming the hero Axel Cobretti. His changes raised the budget to include action scenes like a Lamborghini and train chase, which Paramount rejected. Stallone left 2 weeks before filming and used his ideas later in Cobra in 1986, where the lead became Marion Cobretti. Eddie Murphy then took over and the name changed again to Axel Foley. His quick wit and improvisation reshaped the movie into an action comedy that worked perfectly for him. What began as a tense drama became a film classic, with Axel Foley becoming one of the most famous characters of the 1980s. Stephen Elliott's accidental prop in Beverly Hills Cop. In the tense precinct briefing scene of Beverly Hills Cop, veteran actor Stephen Elliott storms in as Police Chief Hubbard, shouting at his officers amid the commotion caused by Axel Foley. Observant viewers may notice Hubbard gripping a rolled bundle of papers, waving it as if it were part of his authority. What seems to be a planned prop was Elliott's real script pages, which he had just been reading moments before filming began. Elliott, who was 81 years old at the time, had been handed the updated lines right before the camera started rolling. In the production rush, he walked onto the set still holding the papers. Instead of stopping to redo the scene, the director decided to keep it. The gesture matched Hubbard's frantic and impatient nature, making it appear like the chief had burst in during an ongoing meeting, papers in hand like urgent orders. Elliott's deep voice and commanding presence gave the character weight, but this small mistake added a natural edge, making the moment feel real. What could have been a slip became part of the film's energy. In later interviews and DVD commentary, the crew explained how such unplanned moments helped shape the film's loose, believable tone. Elliott, remembered for his work in Arthur and Death Wish, brought decades of stage experience that grounded the performance. His role as Hubbard became a vital counterpoint to Axel Foley's fast-talking style. The scene's authenticity, born from an honest human mistake, became one of many details that made Beverly Hills Cop feel sharp and alive. Beverly Hills Cop's profane trailblazing. Beverly Hills Cop opens with noise and tension, throwing viewers straight into Detroit streets filled with shouting, engines, and about 13 curse words in only a few minutes. Axel Foley's fast mouth and street style fit the chaos as he dives into a sting gone wrong. The words were not added just to shock. They showed the rough life of a cop who talked like the world he came from. Eddie Murphy's quick ad-libs during the truck chase gave the language rhythm and humor. The film earned its R rating for over 200 curse words, setting a new standard for action comedy. Later movies like Lethal Weapon and 48 Hours followed that style, using rough speech as part of character and story. What began as raw talk became a mark of truth, turning Axel Foley into a cop whose words were as loud as his courage. The Scrapped Fruit Stand. The opening of Beverly Hills Cop begins in chaos as Axel Foley, caught in the middle of a sting operation, clings to a double trailer truck loaded with illegal cigarettes. The scene becomes a wild chase through the rough streets of Detroit, with the truck smashing into police cars, overturning taxis, and setting off a mix of sirens and screeching tires. It immediately defines Axel's fearless attitude. Among the chaos, a fruit truck piled high with oranges and vegetables is destroyed in a slow-motion burst of pulp and debris, echoing a familiar 1980s action style that magnifies the destruction. Behind this sequence lies another tale that never reached the screen. A planned fruit stand crash cut from the final film for reasons never clearly revealed. The entire chase was filmed across 5 hot summer days in Detroit. The cigarette spillover crash was shot at John and Brush Streets in Highland Park, while the fruit truck collision occurred at Michigan Avenue and 30th Street. Another heavy truck crash was filmed on Jackson Avenue, completing the chain of destruction. Some production sources suggest that an additional fruit stand, possibly a small roadside stall filled with produce, was once part of the plan. It would have added another layer of chaos with fruit flying through the air as Axel held on through the frenzy. Eddie Murphy, who performed many stunts, may have been set to dodge the scattered fruit, adding his usual quick reactions to the scene. However, the idea was eventually removed. Some crew members believed it was due to rising costs linked to Sylvester Stallone's earlier script version, which leaned more heavily on action scenes. Others thought it came down to time and coordination challenges in managing extras, props, and vehicles, or simply to keep the chase sequence shorter and more controlled at 7 minutes. Even though it was never filmed, talk of the missing fruit stand scene continues among fans who followed most of the old production details. It remains one of those stories that blend into the film's legacy, a quiet reminder that not every plan makes it to the screen. In a film shaped by chance and energy, this unseen moment adds another small layer to its making, showing that sometimes what stays hidden behind the scenes can carry its own memory. Disdain for his Beverly Hills Cop villain. Steven Berkoff, the gravel-voiced British actor known for his commanding stage work and role as General Orlov in Octopussy, brought a cold sharpness to Victor Maitland, the art dealer who hides his crimes behind class and charm in Beverly Hills Cop. With his fixed stare and clipped speech, Berkoff played Maitland as a man who controlled every glance and word. From the tense meeting at the gallery to the final gunfight at the mansion, where he falls down the stairs, his presence gives the story its edge. Yet Berkoff himself was not pleased with what he had done. He later said he felt the part was shallow, a surface performance that went against everything he learned from theater. He believed it lacked the soul and craft that had defined his work on stage. Berkoff had built his reputation through fierce personal interpretations of plays like The Trial and Macbeth. In Beverly Hills Cop, he was placed in a world ruled by quick lines and comic timing. Eddie Murphy's fast improvisation made it harder for him to find his rhythm. In one scene later removed, Berkoff's still face revealed more than acting. It showed the genuine unease of an actor caught off balance. When filming ended, Berkoff moved on in silence. He avoided discussing the movie in interviews, often cutting off questions with a short response or a hand wave. Those around him could only guess what had gone wrong. Some thought the rushed production left no room for depth, while others believed he disliked the kind of simple entertainment Hollywood demanded. In his memoir Tough Acts, released in 2003, he described walking through the Paramount gates for the first time with a sense of wonder, comparing it to entering a shrine. Yet he left out any warmth or reflection on the film itself. The silence said enough. Victor Maitland stayed as one of the cold faces of the 1980s, but Berkoff treated it as a chapter better left unspoken, a role that made him famous, but one he never wished to own. A bit of emotions. Beverly Hills Cop runs on Eddie Murphy's fast humor, yet a moment of real pain sits inside its laughter. Axel Foley's old friend Mikey Tandino, played by James Russo, shows up in Detroit after time in Las Vegas. They share jokes and stories in a small bar, the warmth showing their long bond. Soon after, Mikey is shot dead outside Axel's apartment by men working for Victor Maitland. The suddenness of the scene gives it weight. Axel's face turns from joy to shock, and the loss is why he visited Beverly Hills. Mikey's death is not treated lightly. It hangs over the story, shaping Axel's decisions and quiet moments. Russo's short screen time leaves a lasting mark, and the mix of humor and grief gives the film a heart that lasts beyond its jokes. Eternal Axel. In 2024, Beverly Hills Cop was added to the Library of Congress's National Film Registry. It was among 25 films chosen for their cultural, historic, or artistic value, marking it as a work that helped shape American cinema. Librarian Carla Hayden described the annual selection as a shared effort to protect films that reflect the country's story. The new list brought the total number of preserved titles to 900, ranging from 1895 to 2010. For Eddie Murphy's breakout film, the recognition felt earned. His character, Axel Foley, a sharp-talking Detroit detective loose in Beverly Hills, changed what audiences expected from action comedies. The film's raw humor, electronic score, and fearless attitude captured the energy of the 1980s. Its success inspired sequels, a streaming revival, and countless quoted lines. Fans celebrated its inclusion alongside classics like Dirty Dancing and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This acknowledgement ensures Axel Foley's voice and spirit remain part of film history for years. Beverly Hills Cop stands as a cultural force. From Michael Eisner's speeding ticket that sparked production to Bronson Pinchot's spontaneous turn as Serge, the film's making was filled with lucky missteps, misspoken names, lost scenes, and improvised genius. Eddie Murphy's Axel Foley broke barriers, mixing sharp humor with real emotion, giving the film its lasting heart. Even Steven Berkoff's unease and Stephen Elliott's on-set slip only deepened its texture. Axel's laughter, grit, and rebellion are invoked decades later, reminding audiences that imperfection often creates the most lasting art. Which of these weird facts are you hearing for the first time? Let's hear from you in the comments. Thank you for watching. Kindly click the next video on your screen.